Welcome to the ANEW Insight Podcast, empowering and inspiring your journey to optimal health. Hosted by Dr. Supatra Tovar, clinical psychologist, registered dietitian, fitness expert, and author of Deprogram Diet Culture. Rethink your relationship with food, heal your mind, and live a diet-free life. I follow my guests' journey to optimal health, providing you with the keys to unlock your own wellness path. Tune in and evolve with us. Hello and welcome to the ANEW Insight Podcast. I am Dr. Supatra Tovar, and I am honored to have plant-based facilitator Guy Borgford with us today. Guy, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Supatra. It's a pleasure.
Yay. I am so excited to pick your brain, but I'm going to read a little bit about Guy for our listeners. So just hang on for a second while I read about you. Guy Borgford is a visionary leader and advocate for plant-based healing and holistic wellness. As a key figure at Casa de Flujo, he dedicates his work to guiding individuals and communities in exploring the transformative power of plant medicines. With decades of experience in marketing, business development, and creating impactful partnerships, Guy seamlessly blends his professional expertise with a passion for promoting natural healing modalities. His work at Casa de Flujo focuses on providing safe, educational, and inspiring environments for people to connect with the healing properties of nature. Guy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you again, Supatra. It's a pleasure.
So I want to know a little bit about your background. You came from the business world. You came from marketing, business development. What led you on the path to where you are right now? If you could inform our listeners.
Sure. Yeah, happy to. I first started working with psychedelics when I was quite young. I was in my teens, although it wasn't intentional work. I used it more as an escape and as a means of fitting in with a peer group of which I didn't really feel like I belonged. So it was kind of more of a survival mechanism, a means of personal development and growth. Fast forward a few decades, and I was in my very early 50s when I started meditating. After 3 months of meditation, I had a shift in awareness that I later learned was a classic Kundalini awakening. That shift led me into exploring plant medicine intentionally, and I started with ayahuasca, and ayahuasca led me to wanting to work with these tools in a way that I could help other people, as well as continue on my own journey of healing and growth and expansion and understanding. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I've been doing this for about 5 years now. And yeah, so there we go.
Can you go into a little bit more detail about that meditation experience? You said the Kundalini awakening. For people who are unaware of what that might mean, can you describe it in a little bit more detail?
Sure. Well, my path to meditation is kind of interesting. My sister is the one who got me into it. And it was on our deceased mother's birthday when she got a text message from a friend to attend a holotropic breath class. And she had never done breath work before. And she was feeling a little bummed out. It was our mom's birthday, and she was gone for a number of years. She was murdered when I was 22 years old. Mm-hmm. And so, there was a lot of residual trauma and unresolved energy around her loss. So my sister goes to this breath class, and through transformational or holotropic breath, you can get into these non-ordinary states of consciousness, unlike psychedelics. And she got into this non-ordinary state. She then encountered what she described as a feminine divine energy of pure radiant love. And it was like our mother's energy, but a million times more than that. So she has this telepathic conversation with this radiant, loving energy of light. And among the things communicated was, your brother needs to wake up. He needs to wake up now. And she
Wow.
said it like this. So my sister tells me this the next day. And, our mother was pretty interesting. She was very curious about consciousness and dabbled in the occult, went to seances and things like that. She channeled energies, did automatic typing. I heard her speak in tongues. So it was a pretty non-ordinary upbringing. And so when my sister tells me this, I was like, yeah, okay. Well, I better do something about this. So the next day, I ordered a book. I just looked up books on meditation. I figured meditation was a good place to start. I found a book by Dr. Joe Dispenza called Becoming
Yes.
Supernatural.
Oh, I love that book.
Yeah, I know. Me too. And so I started reading that book. And in that book, there is a meditation practice. It's a Kundalini technique of using your muscular system to channel your prana energy while you're meditating. Starting with your root chakra and channeling your prana up using your muscles along your spine. And I believe this was probably what contributed to this transformation, this first step in this transformation process. I Within a week, I just started, deleting apps on my phone. All of a sudden, I didn't care about the things that I used to really care about, things like money, partying, sex. I was living a pretty fast, fun lifestyle. And all of a sudden, I really started just going within more and less interested in these things that were just entertaining my monkey mind. So after about 3 months I had this just big shift where all of a sudden I always say I must have looked like, you remember Moonies, that cult where they were in
Yes.
robes and they carried around the flowers and their eyes all glazed over. I bet I looked like that. I remember walking down the street, walking my dogs and waving at all my neighbors. Hello, good morning. Just in love with everything. But with that, I didn't care about my work anymore. And it was really challenging. I had a pretty high pressure job in consulting and I was in business development and I had numbers to hit. And it was a real challenging time. I ended up losing my job, i.e., getting fired, because I really didn't care about their quarterly numbers or anything else. I knew that there was something much more important that I needed to address. And that's not to say that the work they were doing wasn't important, because everything's important for some people. It just wasn't aligned with where I was at. So through that process, that's where plant medicine came in and I started working with it. And that's where these kind of additional epiphanies and insights started coming through. And then I continued with my meditation practice and really ramped that up to the point where, meditation is my favorite thing in the world. And it's something I do every day. And it's something I do in all different environments and different types of meditation. But it is a very powerful tool of connecting with this kind of higher energy that we all are, and that most of us have forgotten what we are. And that is that we are divine beings of light.
Yes.
So that's kind of the story. And, there's been many kind of different shifts along the way over the past 5 years, but that was kind of that process of this Kundalini awakening. I didn't even know what it was until about a month later. And my sister sent me this article about what they were. And I just checked all the boxes. I was like, oh God, this is what happened to me. Cause I didn't know what had happened.
Wow.
And I was having a lot of challenges integrating that experience, because it's not unlike a psychedelic experience where you have a shift in awareness and you try to make sense of things between this consensus reality and the things you learn through these other states of consciousness.
I love it. I have devoured that book, Becoming Supernatural, and I've practiced that breathing technique, and I have found it to be quite transformative. If you could explain to our listeners, I mean, for me, doing it, and I do it every day, I try to do it every night before I go to sleep. It's designed to help to clear your energy. And it is based upon chakras. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh God, what are we talking about?
Mhm.
I don't know if that's real. But the way that Dr. Joe explains it, he actually explains it in scientific terms as well as more kind of metaphysical terms. And I believe it's designed to kind of clear the body of past traumas and allow you to access your higher levels of chakras, like your heart, your throat, third eye, and then connection to the divine. Can you describe what it felt like to do this meditation and why you think it shifted and caused this experience for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm glad you've read the book so you kind of understand some of where it comes from. And the thing I do like about Dr. Joe is that he does combine the scientific with the metaphysical, and kind of, for those who are kind of like, yeah, that's woo woo, it makes them better understand things from the physical perspective.
Hmm.
So, and yes, I think it is like the term I use is it kind of bores out our prana tube. And
Hmm.
our prana tube is this energetic pathway that runs up our spine. You
Hmm.
know, we all know the spine is the core to the central nervous system.
Hmm.
And that, you know, if you look at the nervous system of the human body, if you've probably seen it, it looks like tree roots. It's all like
Hmm.
this, and it's all spread throughout our body. And just talking about it, I could feel mine dancing around.
Hmm.
And that is kind of what I got from it is I started to be able to physically feel my prana or my energy, and I could summon it at will.
Hmm.
And what that means is you know when you get goosebumps, everyone gets goosebumps, right? And that feeling of woo goosebumps. So the ability to summon that at will through various practices, and not even just through meditation, but also just through the everyday. Like you're out in nature, you see something beautiful, and you can just summon that energy and connects you to everything.
Hmm.
So what I have found is that practice just kind of bored out my prana tube, boring being like a
Hmm.
drill. And now that energy flows really easily. Now, what
Hmm.
does that mean? A lot of people go, "Well, big deal." You can get goosebumps on command. Who cares, right? But what it does is it taps into your intuition. So,
Hmm.
so this prana signals things, and it will signal, for example, when something is very good, my prana will light up, and
Hmm.
it's a signifier for, okay, you're on the right path, or this is very good, or this is like you got to pay attention to this. And so it kind of taps into the things that are beyond this thinking mind and gives us another means of communicating with the world around us through our
Hmm.
energetic being.
Yes. And I completely agree. And I think that when you meditate, and I've been meditating since 2012, I do think that it's almost like an antenna gets
Yes.
stronger and the signals get stronger and your intuition gets more attuned
Yep.
and you start to hear. I use it all of the time in therapy. And I think it's like, we talk about it being woo woo. Yeah, okay, so it's woo woo, but I will hear something as I'm listening in therapy, and it leads me to where I need to go to help them release something or explore something. And I just allow it. And I think that that's really profound because I'll see it on my client's face like, oh, that, yes, like you'll see a light bulb going off, and it's because of this intuition. I really do believe that it is tapping into this like greater level of consciousness.
Absolutely.
And I think if more people were to be able to understand that on a scientific level, they would be able to adapt it and understand it and even incorporate it better. Everybody knows that they've got the little voice. Everybody knows.
Oh
And
yeah.
people know when they don't listen to that voice, usually something not pleasant will happen. But when they do listen to that voice, things seem to flow for them. And so that's, very mystical, very strange to people. But when it's couched in the term of energy, and an energy, like field, people can understand that better. And when it's explained that we all have this energy coursing through us, especially coming up through our spinal cord, also known as the prana too, that helps people understand on an energetic level why we are all connected. And especially if you delve even into some quantum physics, which is still like I don't even have like a firm grasp on that, but you really realize that we exist as particles, but we also exist as energy. And that is really important to grasp and understand how we're connected to people energetically. So I am really curious if you can, and I think when people hear psychedelics, they're like, oh, woo woo too, or they harken back to the 70s, when people are on these acid trips and things like that. I really want to explore plant-based medicine. We're talking about medicine. We're not talking about recreational party drugs. And I am a huge proponent of plants as medicine in general. The food that we eat, it is vital for us to understand that it is directly, it is directly influencing our health for the poor or for the better. And our choices determine our health when it comes to plants. So plants have incredible healing properties just in general for our health. Explain how plant-based medicine in your realm, ayahuasca, I believe there's what are the
That's
other.
psilocybin, the fungi, also tea,
Mhm,
to a lesser degree, cannabis,
mhm,
tobacco, believe it
mhm,
or not, is a very powerful medicine when used intentionally and ceremonially. Things like changa, which are admixtures that include DMT, and then some of the cacti that contain mescaline,
mhm,
peyote, San Pedro, and then iboga and ibogaine, which I have no experience with, but are incredibly beneficial and effective in treating, serious conditions like opioid use disorders. So
mhm,
they all have, different effects and different ways of working with us.
mhm.
But so it's all over the map. Where do you want to start?
Well, start with what you know best. How about that?
Okay. Okay, yeah. So probably I know psilocybin best. I've got about 300 hours plus of training working with sacred mushrooms. I'm a minister in a mushroom church and also called Sanctuary with a P in front of the S. And
Mhm,
I also have specialized training in end of life, working with mushrooms and helping people with end of life anxiety and depression
mhm,
using psilocybin. Psilocybin is a pretty gentle medicine. It's a good starter in working with entheogens. Entheogens, by the way, is another term for psychedelics. Psychedelics meaning mind manifesting, and
mhm,
entheogens meaning kind of more God manifesting and connecting with the divine. I prefer the latter term because that's kind of how I look at these tools. They are tools of consciousness that help us better understand our truth.
mhm,
Working with mushrooms, there's lots of different ways to get started. A lot of people start with microdosing, which has become incredibly popular. People using microdosing for various conditions or just improving their focus, helping them with things like depression, anxiety, substance use disorders.
mhm,
Things like ADD, ADHD,
mhm,
mushrooms are great in small doses, are very good focus medicine. So there's all different ways to work with mushrooms in a medicinal context.
mhm,
What makes it medicine versus just doing shrooms is your intention, like
mhm,
setting that intention. Why am I eating these mushrooms?
mhm,
And then having reverence for the consciousness of the fungi and bringing that reverence into your consumption experience.
mhm,
And what that looks like is up to you.
mhm,
I'm a big believer in people creating their own ceremony and working with these medicines. especially in the case of fungi, which are, they are ubiquitous around the world. Psychedelic
Mhm.
mushrooms, they're available everywhere in all cultures.
Mhm.
Whereas something like ayahuasca is very specific to the Amazon and the areas in South America. Mushrooms are everywhere. And
Mhm.
so for us to own our ceremony and own how we connect with this mushroom is like what's something I always coach people on, to make it their own and
Mhm.
develop a relationship with the fungus and use it in ways with they tap into their own healer and tap into
Mhm.
their hearts and really kind of connect with the fungus that way.
Mhm.
And you probably see it in your practice where, and I'm sure you and I have had some good conversation to date, and I know that
Mhm.
your ideal state is where your clients are off and they're doing their own thing and they don't
Mhm.
need you anymore, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it's kind of a paradox, but it's always my goal is where people go off and they develop their own practice and they take their health and their wellness and their spirituality and everything in their own hands.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
So I want to get into how these plant-based medicines actually work, but I think we're going to have to save that for the second half of this podcast. I want you to tell us how Casa de Flujo came to life. Like, what was the mission behind this organization, and how do your programs help people connect with plant-based healing in a safe and supportive environment?
Yes. Well, I mean, it all starts with harm reduction and education, helping people understand what they're getting into, making sure that they're going to be safe with the medicine, doing all the necessary screenings and protocols to ensure that safety. And
Mhm.
then creating the container. And the container is we have side by side cabins up here in the mountains.
Mhm.
Next doors where we have group ceremonies. Usually I hold individual space here in my cabin. And it's working with these different medicines, but also working with the tools of integration, meditation, conscious awareness or mindfulness, mindful eating. I know you're a big fan of that.
Mhm.
Food is medicine,
Mhm.
connecting with plants in other ways than just psychoactive plants, learning to
Mhm.
grow your own food, learning how to harvest and how to forage, and finding wild things that you can eat, connecting to the wild and the beauty of nature through edible plants and fungi. Uh,
Mhm.
so, this it's is it an organization? Not really. It's a practice. And
Mhm.
and the practice is one of introducing people to really a better way of living through
Mhm.
connecting, reconnecting with the natural world. In
Mhm.
our modern society, we become very disconnected as a whole. And that disconnection from nature, disconnection from our truths that we are nature, is, I think, a big source of a lot of modern ailments and
Mhm.
the mental health crisis and the global pandemic of mental health and wellness.
I
Yeah,
would say physical health as well. I
absolutely.
I think, the whole purpose for this podcast is to help people find as many ways that they can achieve their optimal health. And I do think when we really kind of look at it systemically, we're in an obesogenic environment. We're also in an environment that is not supportive of our mental health. And I think we're surrounded by systems that are not interested in that. They're more interested in their bottom line. And I think we suffer as a result. And so helping people return to themselves naturally is, I think, one of my greatest missions, because I think the answer doesn't lie outside, except for outside connecting to nature. The answer lies in really truly connecting with yourself and having your spirit guide you toward your own path to healing. So it sounds like this is something that you do. And when we get into the second half of this podcast, I want you to, as much as you can, without revealing anybody's personal story, tell us, or take us through how this is changing people's lives. What are you seeing them come in with? What are you seeing them leave with? But we're going to wait for the second half of the podcast
For
to
sure, for
really
sure.
delve into that.
Yeah, I can certainly share some of my own experiences, which are, in my opinion, pretty profound. I'm a
Yes.
completely different person than I was 5 years ago.
Yes. And I will say for me, meditation, no, I haven't really delved into psychedelics at all, dabbled, younger years and all of that stuff. But meditation, I think, has been absolutely transformative for me, and in really kind of shedding away, I think, external social conditioning and really helping me to learn how to truly tune into myself and listen to myself. So we're going to get into that more. Everyone, you've got to come back for the second half of this amazing episode. We're really delving into, I think, areas that are not as widely covered as I think should be, because I think our own paths to healing can involve many different modalities. So tune in next time for the second half of this amazing episode with wonderful plant-based facilitator, Guy Borgford. Thanks, Guy.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning into the ANEW Insight Podcast. Please remember, the contents shared on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. You can find us anywhere podcasts are streaming, on YouTube at my.anew.insight and at anew-insight.com under the ANEW Insight Podcast tab. And follow us on our socials at my.anew.insight on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more updates. Tune in next time and evolve with us.